Remember when you twisted the throttle and nothing happened? And then everything happened at once. Little did we know, some of those breakthroughs turned motorcycles into time bombs with handlebars. Today we're digging up the trends we trusted and barely survived. We are digging up the junkyard of history to find 10 innovations that failed hilariously. From toaster oven engines to solid steel suspension, here are 10 trends that look absolutely stupid today. Number 10, the safety pop-up headlight. We start our countdown in the mid-80s. Pop-up headlights were the coolest thing on cars. The Ferrari Testarossa had them. The Corvette had them. The Mazda Miata had them. They were sleek, aerodynamic, and futuristic. So naturally, Suzuki decided that motorcycles needed them too. In 1984, Suzuki launched the GSX 750S Katana. They claimed that putting a pop-up headlight on a motorcycle was an aerodynamic breakthrough. "It cuts through the air!" the brochures screamed. But let's look at the reality. On a car, a pop-up light is on the hood, streamlining the front end. On a bike, it is on the fairing, high up on the steering assembly. Why does it look stupid today? Have you ever seen one with the light up? It looks like a startled cyclops. It ruins the lines of the bike. When the light is down, it looks sleek. When it pops up, it looks like a barn door has opened on the front of your motorcycle. Plus, the motors inevitably break, leaving you with a winking bike or a light that is stuck staring at the front fender. It is a gimmick, pure and simple, and nothing ages worse than a gimmick. The pop-up headlight was about hiding the light, but our next trend was about hiding the brakes. It was an idea so bad that it turned a 10-minute maintenance job into a 2-hour nightmare. Number 9, inboard disc brakes. In the early 80s, disc brakes were still a relatively new technology for mass-market bikes. They had one major flaw. Stainless steel rotors were terrible in the wet. You would hit the brakes in the rain, and for the first second, nothing would happen until the water squeezed off. Honda's solution? Put the disc brakes inside a metal drum to protect them from the rain. They called it the inboard ventilated disc. It appeared on the CBX 550F and the VT250. It looked like a drum brake from the outside, but it had a cast iron disc hidden inside the hub. The reality was a disaster of physics. Brakes work by turning kinetic energy into heat. Disc brakes work well because they are exposed to the air, which cools them down. Enclosing them inside a metal hub is literally building an oven for your brakes. They would fade quickly under hard use because the heat had nowhere to go. Honda tried to fix this with elaborate air scoops, but it was a losing battle. Honda tried to reinvent the brake, but Yamaha tried to reinvent the entire front end of the motorcycle. They decided that forks were outdated and built a bike that looked like a science experiment gone wrong. Number 8, hub center steering. Enter hub center steering. Instead of forks, you have a swing arm on the front wheel, just like the rear. The steering is done via a complex series of linkages, ball joints, and rods. The most famous example is the Yamaha GTS 1000 and the Bimota Tesi. The promise was zero brake dive, constant geometry, and the ultimate stability. The reality? It worked too well. The problem with eliminating brake dive is that riders use brake dive. We rely on that compression to tell us how much grip the front tire has. It is feedback. On a hub center steered bike, you hit the brakes and the front stays flat. It feels numb. It feels like driving a video game controller. It looks stupid today because it looks like a Rube Goldberg machine. One side of the front wheel is completely open, which is cool, but the other side is a mess of giant swing arms and pivot points. It is the solution to a problem that was solved cheaper and better by just making better forks. Today we have semi-active electronic suspension that eliminates dive instantly without needing a 40-pound front swing arm. Hub center steering is a complicated way to do a simple task. Complexity was a theme in the 80s and 90s, but sometimes the stupidity came from trying to attract car drivers. Our next trend was an attempt to make motorcycles easier that resulted in the ugliest machine ever built. Number 7, automatic space cruisers, the DN01. Honda called it a sports cruiser. The marketing hype claimed it broke all categories. It used a hydraulic mechanical automatic transmission, HFT, that was incredibly smooth. It was supposed to be the future of urban mobility, but it looks like a catfish that swallowed a vacuum cleaner. It has this long, low, drooping nose that makes it look sad. It stands as a monument to corporate hubris. It represents the idea that you can design a market segment into existence. You can't. People ride motorcycles because they are engaging. Removing the shifting, the most engaging part, and wrapping it in plastic that looks like a rejected prop from Judge Dredd was never going to work. I have to ask, the DN01 is legendary for being weird. But honestly, is it ugly or is it cool in a sci-fi way? Rate the looks from 1 to 10 in the comments below. Speaking of ugly designs, the 90s brought us a fashion trend that makes the DN01 look subtle. This next trend involved paint schemes that looked like an explosion at a highlighter factory. Number 6. Neon and pastel splatter liveries. We aren't talking about racing colors. We are talking about purple wheels, teal seats, pink frames, graphics that look like brushstrokes or paint splatter. The Honda CBR 600F2 came in Miami Vice colors. The Kawasaki Ninja ZX7 had purple number plates. Yamaha FZRs had teal and magenta stripes. The reality is that it dated the bikes instantly. By 1996, if you rolled up on a bike with a pink seat and teal wheels, you looked like a relic. It wasn't classic cool like a black and gold Norton. It was saved by the bell embarrassing. But fashion changes every 6 months. Style lasts forever. A Ducati 916 looks good in 1994 and today. But a GSX-R with purple, yellow, and zebra stripes? It looks like a bad shell suit. It forces you to wear matching gear because nothing else matches, so you end up looking like a Power Ranger who got kicked out of the squad. It is a visual assault that we are thankfully past. Paint is easy to change, but engine architecture is forever. Our next trend was an engine that was supposed to revolutionize the world with smoothness, but instead, it just melted everything around it. Number 5. The Rotary Engine Experiment. The Wankel Rotary engine is a fascinating piece of engineering. Instead of pistons going up and down, it has a triangle spinning in a circle. It is smooth, high-revving, and powerful for its size. In the 70s, it was seen as the successor to the piston engine. Pistons are barbaric. We must spin. Suzuki went all in with the RE5. Norton stuck with it for way too long with the Commander and F1. Yamaha and Kawasaki built prototypes. It was supposed to be the vibration-free future of touring. The reality was heat. Massive, unmanageable heat. Rotary engines generate exhaust temperatures that rival the surface of the sun. The exhaust headers on the Suzuki RE5 were double-walled and finned, and they still glowed red in traffic. To manage this heat, the bikes needed massive radiators and heavy cooling systems, which negated the weight savings of the small engine. It looks stupid today because the Suzuki RE5 is the definition of trying too hard. To emphasize the rotary theme, Suzuki commissioned Italian designer Giorgetto Giugiaro. He decided the bike should have circles everywhere. The instrument cluster is a cylinder that pops up when you turn the key like a bread bin. The tail light is a cylinder. The indicators are spheres. It looks like a prop from a low-budget sci-fi movie. It serves as a reminder that different does not always mean better. We are halfway through the list. If you love learning about the weird history of motorcycles and saving money by avoiding these mistakes, click that subscribe button. We dig up the past so you don't have to repeat it. The rotary engine was hidden inside the frame, but our next trend tried to hide the entire motorcycle. It was an attempt to sanitize riding that resulted in bikes that looked like portable toilets. Number 4. Enclosed bathtub bodywork. Motorcycles are dirty machines. They have chains that fling grease, engines that radiate heat, and cables that catch bugs. In the late 80s, a design trend emerged to sanitize the motorcycle. The goal was to make bikes appeal to non-riders, people who drove cars and hated getting their pants dirty. The solution? Cover the entire motorcycle in plastic. All of it. The Honda Pacific Coast is the poster child for this. It was marketed as a trunk on wheels. You couldn't see the engine. You couldn't see the frame. You couldn't see the shocks. It was just a sea of white plastic. BMW tried it with the K1, a futuristic jelly bean designed for the Autobahn. Ducati even tried it with the Passo. The reality is that motorcyclists like seeing the mechanical parts. We like seeing the engine. We like knowing there is a machine underneath the Tupperware. The Aero-look bikes were a nightmare to work on. Want to change a spark plug? That will be 4 hours of removing body panels, please. Want to check your oil? Hope you have a screwdriver to remove the access hatch. They also trapped heat like an oven. The engines would cook inside their plastic coffins, roasting the rider's legs in the process. It looks like a ketchup bottle. These designs have aged like milk. Modern design is about aggressive angles, exposed trellises, and celebrating the mechanical nature of the bike. The bathtub era tried to hide the motorcycle, and in doing so, created machines that looked like appliances. It's a refrigerator you can ride, and nobody wants to look cool riding a refrigerator. While Honda was wrapping bikes in plastic, the sport bike world was obsessed with shrinking wheels. This next trend promised agility, but delivered a ride so twitchy, it terrified a generation of riders. Number 3, the 16-inch front wheel. For decades, motorcycles had 19-inch or 18-inch front wheels. They were stable and predictable. But in the early 80s, Grand Prix race bikes started experimenting with smaller 16-inch front wheels to speed up steering. Marketing departments saw this and drooled. Race replica was the selling point. Honda launched the VF750F Interceptor and the legendary CBR 900RR Fireblade with 16-inch fronts. Kawasaki put them on the GPZ 900R Top Gun bike. The promise was lightning-fast steering agility that would make your street bike feel like a 500 cubic centimeters GP machine. The reality was that they were twitchy, extremely twitchy. While a 16-inch wheel does turn in fast, it also lacks the gyroscopic stability of a larger wheel. On a perfect racetrack, this is fine. On a pothole-led public road, it made the front end feel nervous, like a shopping cart with a wobble. It demanded constant attention. It looks stupid today because visually, a 16-inch front wheel on a full-size sport bike looks wrong. It looks like a donut. The proportions are off. The tire sidewall has to be huge to compensate, making the wheel look balloon-like. Today, the entire industry has standardized on the 17-inch wheel. It is the perfect balance of agility and stability. Looking back at the 16-inch era, it feels like a weird pubescent growth spurt where the bikes hadn't quite grown into their bodies yet. Plus, good luck finding high-performance modern rubber for a 16-inch rim today. Unstable wheels are bad, but locking up your suspension is worse. This next trend was a high-tech solution that actually made bikes ride terribly. Number 2, anti-dive forks. Braking forces make the front of a motorcycle dip. This is physics. But in the 80s, engineers decided this natural phenomenon was the enemy of the people. Enter anti-dive. The marketing brochures promised a revolution. "Stay flat under hard braking," they screamed. Honda had TRAC, torque reactive anti-dive control. Suzuki had NEAS. Yamaha had their own alphabet soup. These systems were essentially hydraulic valves connected to the brake calipers. When you squeezed the brake lever, the fluid pressure would close a valve in the fork leg, drastically restricting the flow of fork oil. In simple terms, when you hit the brakes, the suspension locked up. Look at the front forks of an 80s sport bike. There are weird little canisters, extra brake lines, and adjustment knobs sticking out of the fork legs like tumors. It screams over-engineering. Modern suspension tuners routinely disable these systems on vintage bikes. They literally fabricate block-off plates to remove the anti-dive units because the bikes ride infinitely better without them. We spent a decade building complex plumbing to stop the forks from doing the one thing they are supposed to do. Move up and down. Do you like this video? Click that like button, and if you to support us even more, become a member. Have early access to the newest videos. And finally, number 1. This is the biggest, loudest, and most explosive failure in motorcycle history. It promised free power but delivered nothing but lag and danger. Number 1, the 80s turbo war. You cannot talk about stupid trends without addressing the elephant in the room, the turbo era of the early 1980s. In 1982, The motorcycle industry collectively decided that naturally aspirated engines were for cavemen. The logic seems sound on paper. Why build a heavy 1000cc engine when you can put a turbo on a 650, make the same power, and save weight? Every major Japanese manufacturer jumped in. Honda gave us the CX500 turbo. Yamaha dropped the XJ650 Sika turbo. Suzuki unleashed the XN85. Kawasaki went full insane mode with the GPZ750 turbo. The reality was that they were terrible, all of them. The problem wasn't the idea, it was the technology of the time. These bikes used primitive computer fueling or pressurized carburetors and heavy crude turbine wheels. The result was turbo lag measured in business days. You would twist the throttle at the apex of a corner and nothing would happen. You'd wobble through the turn, waiting. Then, just as you were trying to exit, the turbo would spool up and dump 40 extra horsepower into the rear tire instantly. It was like having a passenger on the back who would randomly kick you in the spine. It was dangerous and unpredictable. It looks stupid today because of the complexity. To make these systems work, manufacturers filled the bikes with miles of vacuum lines, sensors, wastegates, and plumbing. A CX500 turbo is a nightmare of hoses. And for what? A modern 600cc sport bike makes more power, weighs 100 pounds less, and has throttle response that is actually connected to your right hand. The turbo trend proved that just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. So there you have it. 10 trends that burned bright and burned out fast. It's easy to laugh at these now. We look at the neon paint and the turbo plumbing and wonder how we ever thought that was cool. But here's the scary part. What are we doing today that will be on this list in 20 years? Are giant TFT screens going to look like outdated iPads in 2035? Let me know in the comments. Click the next video to continue the road trip. Join our tribe by subscribing. And if you want to support our channel and have early access on the newest videos, become a member. And don't forget to like this video.